Hey guys, so these videos are becoming rarer and rarer and more sparse as we go. And frankly, I've just been busy. I've been kind of all over the place. I've been setting up for workshops, I've been setting up for talks. Um, so yeah, my life has been busy and it's only getting busier. So you can definitely expect less and less of these videos over time. But when I have the time and when I have the energy, um, I try to make them when I can. So today I want to talk about something that's on my mind when it comes to 2026. Um, and that mainly is being a data scientist still relevant um, in today's world with AI now in the mix? And I want to give a nuanced take of the answer to that question is a yes and no. In the broad aspect, right, before I kind of dive deeper into why it's a yes and no, is because data science as we know it pre AI era has changed. Like the original quote unquote data scientist has changed and maybe is more AI engineering focused, maybe more AI model focused versus machine learning data algorithm focused. And so I'm going to kind of explain kind of the yes and no take I have as to number one, how the education of a data scientist should be more specific. And I not take that back, not more specific. I would argue more broad. The education of a data scientist should be more broad, and it doesn't have to be technical. That's number one. Number two, internships. What really matters when it comes to finding an internship now that AI can do so many things on its own? What is the point of doing an internship? Is it still relevant? Should I add anything important to my resume, etc.? And then career, like how can you have a lasting career as a data scientist now with AI in the mix? And the reason why I feel like I am someone who can give pretty good perspective, pretty good take or advice on this is because number one, um, I grew into becoming a data scientist over time. So I started off as a business analyst and then grew into becoming a data scientist. I was an automation engineer, was a developer, and then later on, I became a data scientist in biotech. And I've been in biotech for the past 6 years. So pretty much after I kind of graduated school, I went right into my professional career with the help of an internship. So I had an internship, had no idea. I think I got hired as a product analyst at first. Had no idea what a product analyst was. Had no idea what a product analyst did. Um, but I was open to exploring and playing around with Tableau, playing around with visual storytelling, etc. Um, and so again, that's internships. And the last one is going to be on career. And reason why that's last is because how do you know how to have a long lasting career um, once you do land a data science job with things changing faster than the speed of light right now? I've went through the institutionalized education to become a data scientist. I've went through the internships. Not only have I went through them, but I've seen students. I've interviewed students, candidates for internship programs, recruited them, went to career fairs, workshops, etc., and mentored interns. And then again, career wise, in my day job, I'm still a data scientist, um, building models, working with AI, etc., all that. So we're gonna dive in. Number one, though, is we want to look at education first. So after using Claude, I asked Claude to kind of find me an article that best kind of um, represents what one should be learning and if data science is still worth it in 2026. And Sabrine Bendy Murad, hopefully I didn't butcher that name, has an article on towards data science that I thought was really helpful. I'll leave this article in the description, but this person kind of just talked about resume wise what you should include, the qualifications and how serious to take them, the skills you might need to learn for these things, how about coding and math in 2026, stuff like that. It's a really good article. I recommend it. Also, what should be in a data scientist toolbox? This is very important. PyTorch, Gen AI, data analysis. Or we can also see Google Trends for PyTorch, Gen AI integration, stuff like that. What's the stack for a data scientist in 2026? Git, AutoML, Data Haiku, which I think this was maybe, I don't know if this is like sponsored or something, which Data Haiku does offer free certifications, which I highly recommend taking. They did look interesting. I looked at it myself, and I thought it was kind of cool. ML operations, a little bit of Docker, ML flow, fast API, LLMs, and RAG. But anyways, I'm not gonna go through the whole article. We're not gonna read it, but I'm gonna leave it in the description. I'll have the link there. Take a look at it and provide in the comments whether you think it's relevant or not. Maybe it could be trash. Maybe it could be a terrible piece of content that gave terrible advice. But again, I'm open to discourse and open to understanding what you guys are feeling at on the ground, basically. So I'm gonna run into now. Number one, what I think you should learn as someone who's currently a data scientist, as well as not only what you should learn in an institutionalized education sense, but also maybe things outside of the coursework that you might do at school. So I'm going to use the whiteboard just to kind of paint a better picture of my thoughts and whatnot. So we're going to start off with education, like I said, education. And so when you think of what data scientists used to do in the past, it was ML, machine learning, plus data. And we could let's do let's take out ML and let's instead call this let's call this algorithms. Terrible. There you go. Algorithms plus data equals ML machine learning models. And then let's do stats algorithms plus data. Reason being is because, of course, right, like you had to at least know a decent amount of, logistic regression, linear regression, Bayesian statistics, stuff like that to make efficient and useful predictive models in the past. And that is the old way of thinking in the current AI age. Now the new way of thinking, and let me back up a little bit more actually. Before we dive into that, let's stick with now that we know, okay, statistical algorithms plus data equals machine learning models. That's like the overview of what a data scientist uses and does. Now let's go into like the coursework that a data scientist usually learns. And it's, again, advanced stats, Python, maybe some object-oriented programming in there, maybe some storytelling. And this is in like a university or some type of college, right? These are kind of the pieces they would learn. Storytelling, visual analytics, maybe even some business calculus possibly, high-level math, maybe even some other machine learning courses out there, deep learning courses, linear algebra, right? These are the old world data scientist things that you had to learn to become a proficient data scientist, to at least be able to read a paper of an example of what somebody already done in the past and be able to understand of how that might apply to the model that you're trying to build, and you kind of try to emulate that same thing. It's you took that coursework to be able to have conversations with other data scientists, to be able to have also a level of knowledge to build models, and to also be able to know how to clean data, how to know when data is ready, how to eliminate null values, and so on and so on and so on. So that was, let's say, the beginning of data science to the GPT-3 age, 2022, 2023. So I don't know how many years that is, but it's a long time. If I think about it, I think neural networks, data science as we know it, I think didn't start till the 60s. So I mean, it's 50 plus years of traditional data science knowledge, and now we just hit a wall where that data science knowledge that um, is useful to know may not be as needed as we think, right? Because now AI is able to do a lot of these things. So my argument is, when it comes to new age data science, let's do that. New age data scientists. And let's underline this. Now, do I think that learning a decent amount of math is still relevant? Yes. Do I think knowing a decent amount of statistics is still relevant? Yes. And I think in the Towards Data Science paper or article that I just showed you, it kind of laid out the same thing. Do I think knowing a decent amount of, let's say, base level ML modeling is still relevant? Yeah, but for the most part, you can plug in a data set or give AI a schema, like whether it's Codex or ChatGPT or Claude Code. You can give it a schema or a data set and ask what is the best model, the best statistical model to use for this data to predict X outcome. And it would probably give you a top three or best fitting model for that data without you having to kind of read or look for it on your own. And now I'm going to, so we have stats, we have math, we have a base understanding of model development. But now I think I want to include something else, which, do I think you need to know like a crazy amount of stats anymore? No. Unless you're really interested, sure. But I don't think you need to know, because AI handles a lot of this. But what I really think you should know is knowing the important concepts of statistics, I think, is very important. I mean, obviously, fine, like your base level mean, median, mode is cool, but understanding how certain theorems work, understanding how, like, popular theorems, understanding Gaussian distributions, I think, is still important. Understanding how to read p-values, z-scores, t-tests, I think, is still important, because this all pieces together when trying to develop systems thinking. And I'm gonna do a talk soon on AI as a whole for students, and systems thinking is one of the prime points that I think most, I want to say developers, but more specifically data scientists, because it's the best way I can explain it is, you may not be a mechanic, you may not be a technician that works on cars, but it is very helpful to understand how the components of a car interacts. with each other. For example, like if your car goes out, right? Most likely it's probably your battery, right? But what if your battery is fully charged, right? Now it could be most likely your alternator, because your alternator is what's used to charge your battery. Same thing could be when it comes to dealing with machine learning models. We could take a model like XGBoost, for example. Um, when you're using XGBoost, uh, maybe your AUC score is your metrics don't make any sense, right? Now you could say to yourself, you know what? These numbers that I'm seeing don't make any sense. I wonder if I need to look at under the hood at the hyperparameters I've set already. I know that maybe if I set the epochs um, to a higher number, the training could go longer. Maybe that's what is needed. But maybe you do the training and you're like, okay, that's not working. But I know that the learning rate also works in tandem with the amount of epochs that I send. Maybe I need to adjust the learning rate. Like going through all these things and understanding how they connect with each other in a model can be really helpful. Now, of course, AI can explain this to you, but AI makes mistakes, right? Let's start there first. AI makes mistakes, and you can also find yourself in what I call like an AI death loop, where like it made one mistake, you ask it to correct it, and then it kind of just makes another mistake on top of that mistake that's already been established, and you go on and on and on and on, and you kind of have to find yourself starting over. And starting from scratch when it comes to trying to figure out a bug or solve an error. But knowing systems thinking and knowing where that error could possibly be coming from, because you understand the model under the hood, can be super helpful. Same way, like, sure, again, I may not have knowledge of all the inner workings of a car, but I know a surface level, a base level understanding of a car to be aware that, like, okay, um, my car went out. Most likely it could be the battery. It's not the battery because the battery is fully charged. Okay, it could be the alternator. No, I can see that the alternator is fine. It's not cracked. It has to be something else. The next level thinking is it could be the starter. So like I think this is also called like first principles thinking. Um, that systems thinking, thinking from first principles can be really helpful, and like really reverse engineering kind of a model, or again whatever kind of thing you're tinkering with, reverse engineering it, having the knowledge so that you can reverse engineer and understand like, okay, this interacts with this interacts with that, and it goes on and on and on and on. Systems thinking is that, and I think that's more important than ever when it comes with dealing with AI. So do I think you need to learn like high level linear algebra now, eigenvectors and dot product? Like, sure. Do I think you need to learn like Bayesian statistics and you need to understand I don't know, super intense theorems? I don't know. Like a lot of these things, frankly, you can learn outside of school. A lot of these things, frankly, you can have AI teach you. So like all that comes left, if AI can be your personal teacher, if AI can now be your personal tutor that can teach you anything and everything about the world in a way that can help you to understand thoroughly, to me, in my opinion, like I don't really think um, you need to really dive super deep in teaching these concepts anymore. I feel like now it's up to the student to navigate and figure out. You could tell them, like, okay, you can guide them and say, here's the important, useful concepts of these things. But I urge you to dive deeper into understanding um, how these things connect, how these things can be useful. How, like, I think I'm a firm believer in like letting students kind of fail and trip on their own. in building things so that they can, again, figure out the inner workings of a model, figure out the inner workings of whatever they're trying to engineer. It's very helpful. It's a very long road. It's a very hurtful road because, you become disappointed. You become reluctant to keep trying because you've kept failing. And, but that's the whole idea is if you can at least build it and try to build it, it might take 10 iterations. But if you hit that 11th iteration on the nail, you now went through 10 other processes that have taught you what to do when approaching certain situations. And that right there is a level of knowledge that AI doesn't necessarily have. Like, it doesn't have the experience that you develop with trying to build something. And then, again, reverse engineering and understanding the inner workings of it. So again, do I think advanced stats is needed to be drilled in your mind? Not really. Do I think, advanced linear algebra and mathematics, unless you're trying to dive into those things, and I'm speaking specifically towards data scientists right now, do I think you need to drill in those things? Not really. But do I think you need to understand a decent level, base level of these things? Like basic arithmetic. 9 times out of 10, you're using basic arithmetic for most things. 9 times out of 10, you're using basic stats for most things. And if you do find yourself needing more advanced stuff, AI can help you and teach you along the way. These days, it's virtually not hard. Now, the next piece I'm going to talk about is internships. This can be tricky nowadays because I asked the question, are data scientists still needed? And I said yes and no. And it's tricky because if we know that, and I remember this was like years ago, not years, maybe like 2026 now, this might have been like 2 years ago. And I was really into building agents and using like frameworks like AutoGen and LangGraph and stuff like that to build things. And somebody had made an agentic process, an agentic system, automation, whatever you want to call it, that was able to automate the work of like a data scientist, right? So like you would have this agent piece together and find, data, do the feature engineering, piece the comms together. It would have like a human or it would have like a human in the loop kind of feature of like, hey, is this okay? Do you think I should move? What do you know about this? Do you think I should move forward? X, Y, Z. And it was able to create visualizations. I think I may have a video of it. A video of like something I did something similar in my YouTube channel of like creating like, AutoGen data scientists. It wasn't as intense as like what I've seen before of like they actually had the agent look for the data that's needed and do the feature engineering and building tables and then doing the analysis and exploratory data analysis and stuff. And then again, pushing out a visualization or a predictive model. Mine wasn't that intense, but with things like that being available, it's difficult for data scientists to state their case as to why they're still needed. Because on a realistic level, they're not. If someone can simply develop an app that can do what a data scientist is supposed to do, of A, finding data, B, cleaning that data, C, doing the data analysis on it, D, developing metrics and or developing a model or figuring out what model to use and then trying it out and iterating on it, developing metrics, etc. What's the point of paying a data scientist 6 figures or more if I can pay a model less than $100 a month? Those type of questions begin to spark. So no, data scientists are not data scientists from the old pre-AI environment are not needed. If we're talking data scientists that just strictly rely on their knowledge of stats, algorithms, and their knowledge on how to clean data really good, and their knowledge on advanced statistics. Like, you kind of need more now, or not that you need more, you kind of need to broaden your horizons a bit more now. Of like, it's no longer the most important thing. It's great to have, it's good to understand those concepts, but it's no longer the most important thing. And so in the next piece, we're going to talk about internships and go from there. So, in another article by this website called Refonte Learning, interesting name, they talk about also internships and pursue internships or apprenticeships, even if they're virtual. And they have one piece that I thought was pretty interesting, and I think it sums up kind of how I feel too. Of like, during an internship, focus on learning collaborative tools like using Git or version control, Jira or other project management tools, and soak up best practices from your mentors and colleagues. It's also a chance to network, impress your team, and they might refer you for a full time role. If traditional internships are hard to come by, look for alternatives. Maybe a research project with a professor, contributing to an open source data science project, or even freelancing on platforms where you can solve data problems for clients. The goal is to have some real world experience where the problems aren't neatly packaged like homework. This will teach you a lot about deploying your skills in practice. I feel the same way. I do believe that just because you don't always have to do a internship. Again, internships are helpful, internships are cool, you get paid, and obviously when you're a broke college student, I've been there. You just want to get something that can pay the bills because you don't know how long you are going to be doing that. You don't know if they're not. You don't know if they are gonna give you a full time offer or not. So you might as well make money from it. Um, I firmly agree. Apprenticeships, I think, are good, and they don't have to be paid either. Usually, if you have a professor and you do like a work, not a, well, I guess you could do like a work study with a professor, maybe to do like maybe a project. That could be helpful, and even then, that looks good on resumes. So let's talk about. Let's now talk about. Let's expand, I guess, on internships. So one thing that I've seen a lot with uh, potential interns is institutions have not caught up with the changes that have happened with AI now in the mix. Meaning, resumes still look like the resumes of 2022 and before, right? They all follow, um, all the projects look the same still. Um, all the skills, all the knowledge still looks the same. Things kind of just haven't caught up to what I think a lot of companies are looking to see. And primarily, anything that involves LLMs, RAG, and if you don't know what RAG is, it stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. It's like it's using a knowledge base plus AI to cement whatever information it's compiling. So if you think of like Perplexity is like one big RAG platform. It always cites its sources from whatever articles, documents, websites are out there. It's just one big RAG platform. It pulls from the internet and it always cites, and it doesn't really come up with anything novel. Usually it's all just like whatever's out there. So Perplexity, I'm gonna put that in parentheses, per hold on, Perplexity is like an example of this. LLMs, ChatGPT, Claude. I would even throw Codex in there, or maybe like I would say Codex is like a AI assistant for development. But again, you get the idea. Um, Let me put Codex actually. Let's do AI assistant tools. So we'll say Codex, Claude Code. What else is out there? I think there was one called Find. That was like a LLM specific for coding. I think it was called Find. I think that's all I can remember for like development wise. But anyways, these are kind of the things that we're just gonna put etc. after. These are kind of the things that are beneficial right now when it comes to what internships are looking for. So another that I would say is agentic frameworks. So this means like lane graph, autogen, LangChain. What's another one? Crew. I think it's called Crew, right? I think it's called Crew. And the OpenAI, I think OpenAI SDK is a good one. Another one is like, I think APIs are still relevant. Having like your AI tool or AI, whatever kind of automation you develop, still connect to APIs is still a cool thing. But now it's pretty much all about, you know, the various MCPs that are out there. There's like GitHub MCPs. There's I think there's a YouTube, if I'm not mistaken, MCPs. Point is, there's like a bunch of MCPs out there that you can use and connect to, that, you know, your AI automation can use as a tool to pull data, to you know, become agentic and go search for things. LLMs, RAG, AI assistant tools, agentic frameworks, MCPs, like those are kind of things that people are looking for primarily right now. I can kind of eliminate this and go even deeper. So we already went through, you know, internships, that what they're primarily looking for. And if you are, I don't have any advice on like how best to approach a company if you're looking to become an intern. I don't have any advice on that. But what I do have advice on, and this is coming from somebody who in the beginning had a very hard time trying to find an internship. Stop reaching out to I shouldn't curse. Stop reaching out to people on LinkedIn constantly. It's very annoying. I know you're looking for an internship. I know you're looking to have a chance, but it's very annoying, especially because everybody does it now. And it's very uninteresting. And I would recommend, if you are going to do it, maybe instead of showing like your resume, show a YouTube video or an Instagram video or a video you recorded of, you know, you fine tuning a model, of you creating a prompt, of you using Codex and what you built using some type of vibe coding tool. Like things like that are useful when it comes to you reaching out to people on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever it may be. Showcase a video, showcase something that shows that you are deeply interested in this thing and that you can, you know, actually have a skill. I think that's another thing. Like, what people are failing to realize, and let's take the current administration, let's put that to the side for a second. When I say current administration, I mean like American politics, right? Current administration. Let's put that to the side. Our economy is moving from a merit-based economy to a skills-based economy. Meaning, degrees still matter. Degrees still matter. Your major still matters. Becoming educated in a certain concept or topic still matters. But do not make that everything. Don't make it your end all be all, because it's not. Especially now, where people can say, "Oh, you know what? It's so crazy that you have a degree in physics. I think that's amazing. What else?" Do you know what I'm saying? How do I know that you even know how to write code? How do I know that you even know about the various AI models out there? Can you show me something where you're actually exploring? Like, people are asking to see something tangible now. People are asking to see something useful now. It's not helpful to just have a project on your resume and be like, "Here you go," and be like, "Let me explain it to you." Now people want to see, like, "Oh, you built this thing," or you know, "I see in your project section you built an app that's able to understand different cat vocal calls, right? How did you build it? Can I see it? Can I use it? Did you deploy it? Did you publish it? Can I try it?" Like, they begin to ask these questions now. It's no longer just like, "Yeah, I did it and we're supposed to believe you." It's now like, "Do you have it on you?" So showing, a simple video, deploying a simple app. Lovable can do this. Replit can do this. If you really want to get serious, Codex can do this too. I think you would just have to use like Vercel and I forgot what the other one is, but it's like, it would be a combination of like Vercel and Codex and one other thing for a backend. But you can do this with Codex. You can do this with Cloud Code. It's not difficult now. So since the barrier, the barrier to developing something is very low now. The floodgates are open. So it shouldn't be a task to create a simple app showing that you at least know how to use AI tools and develop something out of them, right? Because now that shows, not only does it show that you're able to use AI and develop using AI, but it also shows you have enough agency to see the tools in front of you and build something out of it. It's kind of like the concept of, like, I don't know, maybe like when I was younger. I don't know if anyone else can relate, but like when I was younger, we all had, or not all, but some of us might have had like a bag of Legos that was just full of all random pieces of Legos, from all different builds of Legos that exist. But we just would put all these Legos in a bag because we don't know where they went to anymore. Some of them are old, some of them are new, stuff like that. There's a big difference between taking that bag of Legos, full of all random Legos, throwing it in front of somebody, and watching the person A who sees the bag of Legos, opens the bag and decides to take out the pieces and begin building with it. Like, they're like, "Well, you know what? I think I can build a plane out of this. I think I can build a car out of this. I think I can build a building out of this. I don't know all the pieces of Legos that are there or what specifics are there, but I feel like, it's Legos. I think I'm able to create something." Versus person B who just sees a bag of Legos and they're like, there's so much going on in this bag. What am I supposed to do with it? Right? Person A has enough agency to at least see that there's a opportunity to build something, to have enough agency to take that opportunity to build something and hopefully create something useful in the end. Person B is already kind of stuck of like, I need direction. And ultimately, if that person doesn't have any direction, they don't have any agency to begin building something. So becoming somebody who doesn't necessarily need direction to build, or doesn't necessarily need permission to build something, is going to be really useful. Having agency, not needing permission to build something, and not needing too much direction, I think is going to be, and being able to have taste and judgment as to like what should be built, I think is going to be a huge plus, a huge positive for anyone looking to build a career in data scientist, in data science, or as a Gen AI engineer, etc. So that was my long monologue. I know I talked for a while, but now let's dive into the whiteboard piece. So let's kind of talk about projects. So I kind of already laid it out pretty flat of like what could be useful when it comes to um, what to showcase when you are trying to find an internship. Uh, so for example, yikes. For example, I am saying if you're gonna do projects or you want to showcase projects, make videos. You don't have to publish these to YouTube. You don't have to publish these to LinkedIn. It could just be something that you record on your own that you're going to use specifically for um, your interviews. Just something you want to show. Here's what I did. Here's how I did it. If you want me to send it, I can. I can include it in my resume as a file. Cool beans. Videos can be really helpful because not only can you speak about what you did, but that person on the end is able to see what you did. And if you're also able to explain it in the video as you're building what you're doing, maybe if you run into any roadblocks, that is also really good too, because if you're able to run into roadblocks and solve those roadblocks in real time as you're building whatever you're building, that can be amazing. Another one is developing apps. Now, Lovable, like I said, Replit, Codex, these can build apps in minutes for you. You could literally build an entire app in 2 hours using like Lovable or Replit. And you could build a very useful app in 2 hours too. So there should be no reason why you do show up empty-handed. You should not. There's so many tools out there. There's so many ways to build something out there. You should not be showing up empty-handed to interviews any longer. When you could literally go on the free tier for Lovable and spend literally a weekend with very minimal coding developing something easy, right? There shouldn't be any excuses. So videos of you developing an app using Replit, Lovable, or Codex could be really cool. I would also argue that working on open source projects, like being a contributor, could be cool as well. Whether you initiate or contribute, I think that's how you spell initiate, or contribute, like both are cool. It's just, this is like, I wouldn't say you have to do this, but this is like if you really want to take it that far and you really want to showcase like, you know, you contributing to something big or adding to something big, I think that could be really, really helpful, right? That could be like, you can be like, hey, here's me making a contribution to the OpenClaw, you know, GitHub. Like, here's me merging, you know, or yeah, here's me merging, here's me doing some type of PR. Like, why not? You know, it could be easy if you're seasoned. If you're not, I don't recommend it. I recommend you just building an app and showcasing it and making it useful. You can still include, like, again, agentic automations. I would just urge you that don't just keep it as, yeah, I did it, here's the project on paper. But again, really try to make a video of it showcasing what you're building and what it takes care of. Like, and also, let's say, like, again, I'm going to make it biotech related. If you were able to build something, an automation that's biotech related, or for whatever kind of industry you're going into, finance, pharma, uh, construction, whatever it is. If you're able to build an automation that is directly relevant to that industry that you plan on interning for, that you want to intern for, that's a literal gold mine for them. They're like, whoa, you already have an idea of how you can improve our systems or our workflows using AI. I've seen what you've done and I like it. You're gonna get hired. I'm like 90% sure of it. I don't want to say 100. Nothing is completely 100%, but I'm like 90% sure if it's relevant enough and you thought about it enough and you pieced it together enough and showcased it, made a video, made an app for whatever it is, and then showed it to a hiring manager, they would be ecstatic. They would be like, not only does this person care, this person also tries, and clearly this person knows what they're doing. Done. So I'm going to call this projects just so I can have a title, projects for interns or internships. Projects for internships. It sounds simple. I know I didn't like list out like do this, do that, and line by line. Like I don't want to just give you guys, and this is again like I don't want to just give you guys like here's the top 10 products that'll definitely get you a job. I think those videos are BS. Like I highly doubt those are things that really work. What really works is you taking a look at your world, at your family, at your friends, at your school, whatever it is, and really thinking like, I wonder if I should develop an app for their situation. What app could I develop for their situation? Or again, taking a look at a certain industry that you want to go into and ask yourself, what automation, what agentic automation, and what MCPs can I include in this automation that is relevant to this industry that can solve a problem that I think is worth it, right? That type of stuff I think that opens up a whole can of worms of whatever projects are out there and whatever you want to do. So I don't think there's like a list of like, if you do these projects, you're going to get a job. I think it really just matters on, are you willing to have the agency to build something that matters to you or to build something that you are deeply interested in? Full stop. So that was projects. We ran through education and the fact that you don't really need these days, at least when it comes to institutionalized education. I don't think you really need to dive deep into the mathematics of things anymore. AI can literally teach you most of these things. AI kind of solves these things mostly on its own. You primarily just want to at least understand a base level of linear algebra, a base level of arithmetic, I would say again, even a base level of statistics, maybe a little bit higher than the mean, median, and mode kind of thing. I think that might be a little bit too base level, but I think you get the idea. It's like, do you have to really dive super deep anymore? No, because if you can make a really well put together prompt explaining what you want and explaining how you want it, again, including that systems thinking of, do you necessarily need to know how an XGBoost, do you necessarily need to know all the mathematics and all the statistics as to how a transformer model or a XGBoost model works? No. Do you need to know about attention mechanisms that bad? No. But it's helpful to know that when you are playing with those parameters that have to do with the attention and the feedback that's in a transformer, it's helpful to know which parameter does what. Full stop. That's literally all it is. It helps to know which parameter does what, why it's useful, and how it contributes to your output. That's it. So now we're going to move on to, okay, we've done education, we've done internships where we talk about potentially what projects are useful. We talk about kind of how annoying it is to reach out to LinkedIn hiring managers over and over again, and how much we hate it. Um, so and maybe instead of doing that, other alternatives that could help you if you really want to message, other alternatives like sending a video, and how that could really help you when it comes to landing that job. Or if you are in an intern or in an interview, how rather than just, instead of having a list of projects that you've done, why not showcase these things in real time? Here's my app. You can find it deployed here on Replit, on Lovable, on Codex, or in my own kind of website, whatever it is that I host. You can find me on YouTube, or you can find these videos on my LinkedIn. I don't know. Maybe you have your own little portfolio that you can build using Lovable or Replit. These are all ideas I'm literally just throwing out there for free. Use them, please. So now we are going to move on to something more important in the overall trajectory of as you kind of mature as a data scientist. I'm not going to use any articles or papers for this. My dog is waking up. But I'm not going to use any articles or papers for this. Instead, I'm going to give you my take and what I've learned and my trials and tribulations of thinking about how data science has changed in the past 6 years in my experience, from what I was doing before to what I do now, and to what I find is important, and whether or not we still need to call data scientists. I feel like the name kind of needs to change now, personally. I think now we're kind of pretty much operating in an AI engineer kind of sense. So now we're going to talk about professional career. So some things I've learned with having many different roles. I shouldn't say many. Having exploring different roles, recognizing what tools work and what doesn't. I think I've learned that there is the conversation now that is generalist versus specialist. And ultimately, I will urge you, again, if AI can do, AI now can operate as that specialist. If you can fine tune a model on specific knowledge long enough, or if you can have a robust amount of data to tune a model to really understand a niche topic, a specific topic, a generalist, I mean, not a generalist, a specialist doesn't really become needed anymore, right? Because if I can just distill all this specialized information into one model, why would I need to hire someone who is specific on this knowledge anymore? I kind of need someone who has more of a full spectrum, a full breadth of skills. And that's where there is this new renaissance happening right now, where if you are a generalist, you are in a prime position to take full advantage of AI and come out on top. In the past, like, you couldn't really be a generalist in data science because you had to know a decent amount of subject matter expertise. And of course, like, you still should, there still should be subject matter experts. But before AI, you were that person that everyone would go to for that domain knowledge. And you would have to answer questions that not only were surface level, you would have to answer questions that were very deep and very technical. Now you don't really need to do that so much. There's been times where I've built models that again are distilled with specific knowledge. And at times, like if stakeholders, if clients have a question, I just kind of divert them to ask this model. Like it could tell you all about it. Have a conversation. There's a voice mode. You know, like that's essentially why ask me when there's a model or there's a tool dedicated to answering questions like this, who probably can dive deeper into it and give you more specific answers better than I could. So specialists can be distilled into a model, whereas generalists really can't. Um, if you can have a wide list of skill sets that don't necessarily have to be super technical, I think that's important. For example, communication. I know that sounds so broad, and even I hate when someone is like, I hate when students or interns put communication in their resumes as a skill. Like honestly, it irritates me because it's the most bland uh, answer. It's the most unspecific. Like, of course, I know you can communicate. I would hope so, right? If you couldn't communicate, I don't think you would make it through school. Hopefully, um, but it's now how you. It's not communication. It's how you convey. Like how you can you convey information in a useful way to a wide audience, to a diverse audience. Meaning, can you not only speak to the deep technical engineer, and can you also speak to the surface level, uh, can you also speak to the business individual that has a surface level understanding of AI but doesn't necessarily know uh, all the inner workings, but you can explain it in a way that makes sense to them and is important to them? That is important. Can you speak to different crowds? Can you articulate and convey messages in a way that is relatable to almost everyone? That's important. That's important. And I don't know if you can really teach that, frankly. I don't know if you can really teach that because um, it takes trial and error. It takes a lot of criticism. It takes a lot of feedback. Uh, it takes a lot of you putting yourself in very uncomfortable situations to understand how to talk to many different people. You really have to be okay with embarrassing yourself a few times, and then you can probably get there. So I urge you, if you can find the ability to really present as much as you can, and try your hardest to explain things in the best way you can, speaking to all the generals out there. Because again, if AI can do most of the coding, if AI can do most of the development, if AI can do most of the knowledge work, it's now time for people to be able to communicate these results that AI is able to produce. It's now time for people to guide AI in understanding what's a good product, what's a good workflow, and what's a good automation and what is not. Those things are needed. And I think, honestly, you need someone who has a broad level of experiences to give this information or give this guidance to AI. And I think a generalist is pretty much placed in a prime way to do this. Um, I think that's kind of what it boils down to, is like, try not to pigeonhole yourself. Try not to. Again, you can have a favorite thing, you can have a favorite interest, but try to be okay with being a bit broad, especially in kind of this time with AI. Another thing is that in your professional career, especially now, it's okay for you to build things for yourself. Meaning, if you want to start a YouTube channel outside of your daily work, outside of your day job, do that. If you want to go do freelance work outside of your day job, do that. Because AI can now automate things for you, excuse me, and take care of it in less than a day, right? Especially if they're simple asks. If you go freelance and someone is asking for a simple app that AI can build in a weekend, go ahead and do it. Pay what, $20 a month, I think, for Replit. Again, I've been a broke college student, so saying like just pay the money can be kind of difficult. Or I've been broke, I guess, in general, so just saying like pay the money can be kind of difficult. But if you do have the money to spare, uh there's no need to go out drinking anymore. There's no need to go out and spend money like on things that don't matter. Take the time to put $20 into Replit if you have it, if you can spare it, and really start building things. Because in my professional career, I've built so many things. Uh, I've had people want, just based off what I've built so far, I've had people want me to talk about the things I've built and about the knowledge I've collected through the amount of things that I've built so far, because I put myself out there to showcase the things I'm exploring. Um, I've talked at university so far. I think I have another talk, or not, I think I know, coming soon, I have another talk at a university in front of 160 something students. In September, I do a workshop. Like, be okay with putting yourself out there, uh, even if you have a day job. It will give you immense exposure. It will really also give you leverage when you do want to negotiate your pay, or if you want to build your own company and start up to go build something else. I mean, I heard somewhere that like for training workshops, I don't really do training workshops for companies, but like you can charge like 15K for AI training. It's crazy. It really is. Like you do a workshop, charge 15K, and you know you maybe say, hey, I'm going to teach you guys how to build a GPT. And you made 10 to 15K right there, and that's it. So take the chance on yourself. That's another, let me put that there. In your professional career, try to be a generalist more than a specialist, and take the chance on you. I know I ran over an hour. I haven't talked this long in a minute. I haven't had a monologue like this long in a while. So I hopefully I didn't go everywhere, and hopefully I gave pretty decent advice in terms of my own experience. Maybe later on I'll do another more refined video and part two, I guess. Um, Leave feedback, comment. If this video was trash, say that. If this video was helpful, say that, so that I can understand and get feedback for putting myself out there, and again, refine things for you and get more specific. If you want me to drill down more so into one of these three topics, whether it was education or internship or professional career, let me know. And I'll drill down more. I am thinking about drilling down more into the education piece, because I don't think that you necessarily need a. I think it's becoming increasingly where like a STEM degree is not as helpful anymore uh, as like a humanities degree or like a social sciences degree when it comes to data science careers. Controversial topic, I know. Maybe that can be like another uh, conversation. But anyways, with that being said, like I said, leave a like, leave a dislike, leave feedback, leave criticism, whatever it may be. And with all that, bye bye.